A soda. If it's sitting on the table, maybe in front of me, I will spend way too long and I just concentrate. I try and feel the energy. It hasn't worked yet.
I remember that time you moved it a centimeter. I was there. I heard a creak.
Wait, really?
Sorry, man.
I missed it?
Yeah.
Happy Paranormal Day. We are Ben, Matt, and Noel of Stuff They Don't Want You to Know, and we're here to talk about one of our favorite things in the world, the universe, the multiverse, the concept of the paranormal.
Yeah, so join us as we whip out the old Ouija board and play with some other sweet toys that detect and analyze paranormal activities.
And we're also going to explore some of the scientific basis for how these things and these phenomena may actually work.
So before we get started, big thanks to our partner State Farm for helping us bring iHeartland to life.
The time has come. Here's a little quiz to see how much you know about ghosts and the paranormal.
Look down and you'll see squares that say A, B, C, and D on the dance floor. We'll ask questions. You jump on the square with the right answer.
If you get enough right, you win iHeartland Gold. So let's go.
What is the term used to describe the study of ghosts and other paranormal phenomena? Is it A, parapsychology, B, cryptozoology, how about C, spectrology, or D, thanatology?
If you said A, parapsychology, you're absolutely right.
So, paranormal, if we want to be fancy about it, Oxford defines the concept of anything paranormal being an alleged phenomenon, process, or event that is somehow outside of the scope of recognized science. So that could be like telekinesis, pyrokinesis, precognition, clairvoyance, cryokinesis, quesokinesis.
You made that one up.
I'm just adding kinesis.
And Oxford should know. They invented the language.
That's right. So we're talking about psychic powers, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. Things, experiments you can try at home. So, for instance, there are many people who believe in something like a extrasensory ability, right? The ability to see past linear time or experience it somehow. And for you, then we can just do an experiment right now. Think of a number while you're watching this. Think really hard. You got it?
Yeah.
Trick question. The answer is blue. See, it's tough.
That's messed up, man.
Tough. Yeah, it's a little bit of a plot twist.
I was seeing red because I'm enraged at what you just pulled.
But so, okay, we know that most people have experienced stuff they have a hard time explaining, right? Like, do you guys have any instances in your life where maybe you feel like you sensed an unknown presence?
You mean the old prospector voices that I hear in my head every night?
That's just me, Noel.
To join the darkness?
Yes.
What?
That's just me, Noel.
Oh, man.
No, but I think we've all experienced this maybe with our dreams. You ever had a dream where you wake up and you feel like, man, that was really strange. It feels like that's real, and that happened to me. And then a couple of days later, you get that feeling of deja vu when you see somebody at school or they say something really specific that you dreamed about.
Or you have like a song stuck in your head, and then all of a sudden it comes on the radio.
Bader-Meinhof.
That's a thing, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about what Bader-Meinhof is. This is the idea that you see things in occurrence in reality the more that you think about them on your own. And then you sort of use that as a way of justifying some sort of extra kind of normal paranormal occurrence, right?
Yeah.
Which of these is a popular device used by ghost hunters to detect the presence of spirits through changes in electromagnetic fields? Is it A, a Geiger counter? Is it B, electromagnetic field EMF meter? C, anemometer? Or D, barometer?
If you guessed B, congratulations. Electromagnetic field meter is correct. Like you hear a word that you haven't heard before and you learn it. Like what's a weirdly specific word?
Grapeseed.
Grapeseed. Okay, grapeseed. You've lived several decades. You've never heard the word seed and grape put together, and you hear it one time, your mind's blown, and then For the next few weeks, you feel like everybody is saying grapeseed. This also happens if maybe you have a dream that has a very specific kind of car in it, right? Like a green Mustang. And then, for the next few weeks, you think, I'm seeing all these green Mustangs.
Dude.
Did I pierce the veil of linear time? What does this mean?
Did I like telekinesis this into existence?
Yeah, right.
And telekinesis works both ways. Well, telekinesis is the idea that you can control things with your mind.
Right.
And then extrasensory perception is the idea that you can detect things that would potentially point to events that have not yet occurred, right?
Yeah. And humans have been trying to figure this out for a long, long time, right?
Oracles, for example, in ancient Greek times and Roman times, they were prized above many other members of society for their abilities to see the future and to create prophecies. And whole governments base their choices around these prophecies, to better or worse results, depending.
Even Ronald Reagan had an astrologer. Big difference.
Big difference.
Yeah.
So he had an astrologer.
Astrologer being someone who looks at the stars and sees patterns and uses that to predict things either about personalities or about, actual events.
Someone who would look at us and say, oh, you three are definitely Leos.
We are, in fact, definitely Leos.
All three of us.
Yeah. In folklore and mythology, what type of apparition is usually described as a headless horseman? Is it A, Doulahan, B, poltergeist, C, banshee, or D, wraith?
If you said A, Doulahan, you got it. Have you guys ever tried to scry in a mirror? You ever tried that?
Cry in the mirror every morning.
No,
same thing.
scry. I'm talking about scrying.
Mascara just running, That's
being
me.
able to see the future in a mirror.
People have been trying to scry one way or another, the way you're describing, for a long time. Pools of still water, right?
Yeah.
Crystals of all shapes and sizes, generally the softer, round, the spheres, right?
So people have been doing that for so long, and really what we're talking about is somehow breaching that veil, right?
Right.
Seeing the other side somehow. And we wanted to talk about something really special. A game that was designed to let you do this.
The Ouija board is, as we all know, it's a mass-marketed, produced thing that's sold where you would find board games. And the concept is that you and a couple of friends can get together and put your fingers in. Come on, Matt.
Sorry,
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm
if I
getting
wanna
shaky
touch that
just
thing.
thinking about
Put
it.
your fingers in and then ask questions.
Yeah.
And through the power of otherworldly contact, this thing, which is called a planchette, looks like a little plastic teardrop, it will point to it'll spell out answers.
Yeah.
It'll point to a goodbye when it's time to go.
Or a yes or no. It has a yes or no, right?
Here's the funny thing. It's a yas. It's Y-A-S.
No, it's not.
Yeah, originally.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, that's where
Is
it
that
came
Old
from?
English or something?
I'm
What
not
is that?
funny enough to make that up.
Huh. Interesting. So, but they didn't invent this, right? I mean, this is, like you said, a mass-marketed version of a thing that had been used in, say, seances,
From
of
spiritualism.
antiquity, spiritualism.
Yeah,
exactly.
and it goes back to what you were saying, Matt, about scrying. Here's the thing, though. There's science behind how this works, and it may have very little to
Again,
do.
my shaky hands.
Yeah.
No, that's a thing, right? You have intention when you're doing this sometimes, and your body, even without you knowing it, is pointing the thing toward that intention.
How about this? What is the term for a ghost that is believed to be responsible for physical disturbances, such as loud noises or objects being moved or destroyed? Is it A, poltergeist, B, specter, C, revenant, or D, shadow person?
If you said A, poltergeist, you are correct.
Dude, do this at home. Get a string or some sort of string-like object, rope will work. Hang something heavy there. It could be your phone.
Like a crystal,
or your
perhaps.
controller,
Yeah.
right? If you're playing right now. And then just hold it as still as you can and think. Don't consciously move your hand, but think about it moving in a circle. And it will begin to do so because our thoughts have unconscious kind of control over our limbs.
Whoa.
Now,
Are you
this is-
talking about spinning or like
Well, it'll go in counterclockwise. It can go sometimes clockwise, and sometimes, you know, if
put my invisible
this is
thing up
something
here.
that modern spiritualists use. It'll be a crystal of some sort on the end of a chain, and they'll put it near your body, and they'll claim, or perhaps believe for sure, that there is energy that you're putting out that's causing this crystal to behave in a certain way, and they'll use that to determine maybe an answer to a difficult question. Similar to what happens with tarot readings or something like that. And again, we're not trying to poo-poo any of these beliefs either.
No.
There is science that explains some of these phenomenon. There's a whole heck of a lot that science can't explain, and I think all three of us are very much in the camp that there's something to the idea that there are entities or something beyond what we can perceive and understand.
True. I mean, that's why there are still people doing science around the clock, because there's still so much more to learn. And this is the interesting twist. Lest it sound like we're debunking all this cool stuff, you should know that as technology progresses, right now, as you're watching this, as you're playing a game, you're kind of doing magic. You're doing what people in past generations would have thought is
that
magic.
Coding and stuff, the way it makes your avatar move around, your body is entering a scenario that is causing this code, which is like a spell, basically,
100%.
to move your thing around and interact with the world in a different way.
what's your controller plugged into right now? Oh, nothing? It's just sending signal from your controller to your device and you're controlling it? Oh, okay, that's fine. That's not magic.
What about people with prosthetic limbs that are able to move this limb through the power of thought alone, right?
You're talking about technology like Neuralink, for example.
100%.
The idea, I believe very recently there was a gentleman who was able to send the first tweet using only the power of his mind. What was that quote that we always cite?
Arthur C. Clarke.
Yeah.
Yeah, to paraphrase, past a certain point, science is indistinguishable from magic, meaning that if the three of us and you watching at home and everybody in the room with us traveled back to, let's say, the 1200s with all our gadgets and doodads, we would be warlocks.
And burned, likely,
Yeah.
at the
Well,
stake.
possibly, or worshipped, It
Okay.
depends
And
how your
that has
bedside
a lot
manner.
to do with not understanding how the technology works, right? So a lot of you smart ones out there, I can see you. Yeah, you understand how a cell phone actually sends signal and all those things. We don't.
We try to. We do our best.
I
We
have
do
a
our level
loose
best.
grasp. I have a loose grasp.
No.
Speaking of technology and not understanding it, there are people that use technology. Like if you've seen Ghostbusters, you know the thing with the little wings on the side, that as you get closer to ghost territory, they start to... Yeah, that is called, what is it, an
EMF detector.
EMF detector.
Electromagnetic
And
frequency.
if you've seen any of these ghost hunting shows that purport to be reality television, you're going to see devices like this. Sometimes they're handmade by the crews that actually go out and do these haunting kind of investigations, right? This stuff is technology. It is measuring something.
Yeah.
But it's not really exactly welcomed by the scientific community at large.
It's all the interpretation, really, because, yeah, you can measure electromagnetic frequencies, the way you can measure radiation, but the tricky part is, what do we interpret that to mean? At a certain point, it becomes like a Rorschach test.
Yeah. Well, it's subjective, and that's one of the reasons that this kind of technology has been used to hunt for ghosts, because it's an attempt, right? It's almost a scientific attempt. Well, maybe we can read a spirit through an EMF detector.
Or
maybe,
things like infrasound, for
or
example.
Or EVP.
or an electronic voice phenomena. So maybe we can record audio in a place where we think it might be haunted, and maybe we can record the voice of one of these spirits.
You can use tools to actually dissect frequencies and sort of clean up audio and then separate things where you can actually, oftentimes, if you take room tone, for example, what they call in the biz, where you just record the sound of silence, as Paula, what do they call it?
Paula Abdul?
No, not Paula Abdul,
Simon
Simon and
Garfunkel.
Garfunkel. Thank you. Yeah, the sound of silence. You can take some sort of, computer technology, I sound like an old person, and dissect that and probably find some fragment, some remnant, some thing that sounds like something that shouldn't be there.
Because I love you guys bringing this up. This is the heart of a lot of what is called paranormal phenomenon or activity. Humans are great classifiers, super good at pattern recognition, to the point where sometimes we recognize patterns that aren't there. That's why Rorschach can look like things. That's why clouds can look like things. That's one of the amazing things about the human brain. And you have to be careful because that can also work against you. With that, though, we do want to say, as Noel and Matt and I put it earlier, we want to believe. You know what I mean? So if you have proof of something, if you were reading our minds earlier and you were like, that's not a number, that's blue, then write to us. We cannot wait to hear from you. Happy Paranormal Day.